Here we go!
Hey, what's up, Blue Blurs? This is your boy GamerBlake90, proud chief of the Blue Blurs, and your reliable provider of all things Sonic the Hedgehog. But in the case of the Ice Cap Zone, not so much the same can be said for Knuckles, cause I had to confess to a violation of my initial resolution of wearing this hat throughout the entire series. During the Ice Cap Zone, I forgot to put this on, instead of wearing a Sonic hat. So to all my Knuckles fanatics out there, I beg your forgiveness. Please give me another chance. But yeah, seriously, I don't know why it slipped my mind to wear the hat. Usually I don't forget to do that. But oh well, I'll make it a point not to forget again. Especially since we're halfway done with this game now. After this video, we are continuing our Sonic 3 playthrough by going through the Launch Base Zone. The very place where Eggman set up shop right after his death at Craft. And part of the reason why he thought to turn Knuckles against Sonic and Tails was to buy himself the time needed to get his ship up and running, while of course he was looking for the Master Emerald, of which he probably already knows the location, seeing as he buddied up with Knuckles, because he deceived him. So I'm pretty sure he already knows the location of it. He's just biding his time until he can tear off the veil and abandon his partnership with Knuckles, basically, which isn't too far off. But in the meantime, we have broken past all his defenses, and now we're gonna put a stop to Eggman's plans right here and now. You actually don't have to jump on those rotating platforms as they crash into the wall. You'll be knocked out of them anyway. But Sonic does not like to make a clumsy entrance like that, now does he? And frankly, I don't either. So I thought, nah, I'm gonna take matters into my own hands. That said, there are common gimmicks cited throughout the entirety of the Launch Base Zone for both Acts 1 and 2, along with those speed panels that would eventually lay the foundation for the speed panel that you would come to see in modernized Sonic games. I think they first showed up in Sonic 2, I'm reasonably sure of that. I think I remember using similar panels over at the Chemical Plant Zone, unless I'm going nuts. Oh yeah, these gates that are in red and black, by breaking these mechanisms that are latched along the walls, you'll end up changing the positioning of the gate. I'm pretty sure in this instance, this gate was once positioned vertically so we could have grabbed with item boxes. Unless there's another mechanism we gotta shatter somewhere around here to get to those ring boxes. But I'm not all too concerned about them because we've been playing this game pretty well for the most part, so I think we can manage just fine without another 20 rings, right? Also, I'm not sure if those blades would have taken my electric shield away. The shield's durability is pretty darn good against a lot of things in this game, but I didn't exactly want to take that chance because the electric shield is hands down the best elemental shield to have in a Sonic game, period, so I want to hang on to it as long as I can. Whoa, Tails! You almost got me speared there, buddy! Luckily, there was a platform right above that spike bed to cushion our fall, but because Tails landed on it, we didn't have all that much time to savor our good fortune. You might want to wait for those things to crash first and then jump over them rather than take your chances and jump while it's still airborne. Because your position and timing are both terrible, that will result in a lost life. Also, these gates right here that you'll pass through will end up sounding an alarm that will cause these bad things to come running. I believe they're actually your means of farming out a lot of extra lives on the Launch Base Zone, but if so, it feels like a very slow, agonizing process of building up your life count. Because you only get 100 points per Badnik, and I believe it's 50,000 points per extra life. So clearly there may be something I'm missing. Do you maybe just run through it multiple times in a row to get more than one of these birds to come running so you can add to your score? Or am I not entirely understanding the trick to that? I've never actually made it a point to farm extra lives over at Launch Base purely because whenever I play this game, I don't typically need to do that. I play it normally and I'm already farming a lot of lives along the way anyhow. Thanks largely to the special stages. And look at that, them elevators, boy! Oh, if I remember right, these were also cited at the Panic Puppet Zone in Sonic's 2D remake of Sonic 3D in 2D. A game that I will find myself referencing an awful lot, purely because I loved it. So yeah, expect to hear a lot of references dropped for it. But right now we're talking about Sonic 3. So that's another elevator we're taking, and more of the security gates. I'm not much of a bird person right now, thanks to those things. Now, if we didn't have the electric shield, those fireballs actually would have hurt us, but because we do, they'll bounce off of us as if they're just like water off a duck's back. I don't know if I ever touched upon this, but another benefit to carrying the elemental shields is that they give you complete immunity to projectiles. And again, I don't know if that same immunity carries over to those overhead lasers that we passed through much earlier in the stage. I might test it at some point, but I highly doubt it. Okay, there's the man himself, Eggman. Oh, look at that. The boy Knucklehead. Knucklehead, I meant Knucklehead, playing the role of Bomberman. Oh my gosh. You also have an infinite time limit to get out of that building before the bomb tears the entire building down, which kinda takes away from the tension of the situation, but nevertheless, it was meant for the purpose of a cutscene, and now we don't need that bonus checkpoint. And sadly, Eggman's gonna take off before we can get the drop on him. Instead, we're gonna have to contend with this contraption of his that involves rotating spiked balls. Sort of an evolution of the standard wrecking ball that was seen in the very first boss. And there I go, losing my shield. Huh? I just realized, I'm not going super. But I have all the Chaos Emeralds, so huh? Do I have it mapped to a different input or something? I mean, we are playing Sonic 3 a.i.r, and maybe that's come with the option to map your super transformation button to something other than the Insta Shield. Because usually when you try to do the Insta Shield, and you have at least 50 rings after getting all the emeralds, you go supersonic. I must have mapped the button to something else entirely. Either way, you see, take 6 hits to smack that boss out of the park, as long as you steer clear of those spiked balls, of course. They'll end up swinging around him occasionally. And once you've done that, that's it for the first act. And this is where things in Sonic 3 will really begin to pick up. Because we're now going to a launch base zone, Act 2. And there'll be a lot more water to contend with as opposed to the first act. I don't think we ran into any water at all in the first act, now that I think about it. But that's definitely going to change in this instance. Alright, where's that crane? Yeah, we're gonna take that. Gotta say though, usually I don't think too often about the launch base zone, but whenever I do, typically the second act comes to mind. Possibly because that when you're playing the complete package of Sonic 3, it provides some incredible foreshadowing of the events to come in the second half of the game. Mostly concerning the Death Egg. And that is something the Act 2 boss battle will clearly illustrate. Alright, so we're gonna come up here with these platforms. I don't have a shield right now. Oh, okay, that's right. So the super button was mapped to something else entirely. That is so cool, because that means that even after I get all the emeralds and am able to go super, I can still keep the ability to use the Insta Shield. I don't think that was possible in the original game, but we are playing Sonic 3 a.i.r, so apparently, Yukaria, again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing their name correctly, has seen it fit to map the super button to something else entirely. Similar to what, the devs did with Sonic Mania, courtesy of a future update that came out for the game. Really thoughtful of them. And frankly, I'm glad for it, because, as I said earlier in an earlier episode of this series, the Insta Shield is one of Sonic's strongest abilities, and I'm so glad I don't have to forsake it just because I got all the emeralds. And back to the subject of shields. I think for this stage, you're definitely going to want the bubble shield more because we are going to have to risk going underwater, and I don't want to deal with threat of drowning if I can help it. I think there's... Okay, I thought there might be a big ring right past here. Clearly not. Which way do I want to go? Do I want to go to the left, or do I want to go to the right? You know what? I'm gonna use this remote as a coin instead. If it lands face up, we're going to the left. If it lands on the backside, we're gonna treat it as tails, so we're going towards the right, okay? I know this is kind of silly, but I don't want to have to get up out of my chair and find a coin, so this is going to be an adequate substitute. It landed on its backside, so I believe that means we are going towards the right. Yeah, I seriously used a remote in place of a coin to do a remote flip. Didn't actually think I'd do something like that. It just occurred to me in the heat of the moment. Wow, we are up to 40 lives now. And what a time for that invincibility monitor to come along, because now we have to contend with these gates that have these lasers flashing through them. Yes, they will hurt, even if you have a shield. So yeah, better keep yourself clear of those things while you can. Boy, what is this, Frogger? We've seen so many Froggy Badniks throughout Launch Bay, but I swear that Sonic has met with Frogger's universe. Anybody know the classic game Frogger? I'd be very surprised you haven't heard of it, honestly. So, where do we go from here? Okay, another rotating platform. Where's one gonna launch us to this time? Over here. Wait a minute. I thought for a moment we might have ended up going back the same way we came from, but I don't think so, because these rings were untouched. Yeah, I'm going to new territory. Sorry for that little fit of paranoia. So we're gonna take this water pipe, and boom! You know, with the bubble shield, it makes sense how Sonic could be shot with a pipe while they're full of water, but he has to be suffering when he doesn't have a bubble shield on hand and going inside those pipes. Because we all know the blue boy himself can't stand water all that much, so poor thing must be suffering. I'd rather not think too much about that, though. Like, at all. Go, go, go! Go, go, go! Yes, you're gonna hear that an awful lot for the second act. Oh, man. The soundtrack for Sonic 3 will always be memorable. Huh? Wait. I see a big ring, but how do I get to it? Let's see. Thank you, Tails. Let's see if we can get up here, and the answer is no. It's all solid walls in here, too. Okay, well, I guess we're not gonna get that big ring, then. Of course, we already have all the emeralds, so that wouldn't have taken us to a special state, but it would have given us another 50 rings just for picking it up. Speaking of rings, though, we got over 200 now, so we're gonna pick up another extra life, and look at that, we're already at the end. Time actually flew by a lot faster than I thought it would. That's pretty awesome. But there's a higher area that you can go to from up here to pick up an item box. I think it's either a rain box or a shield box, but I'm gonna confirm that, and because I can't trust my spin dash to get me up there, I'm gonna let Tails do the work. Now, initially, when I played the Marble Garden Act 2 boss, I commented how it was a little weird to hold down for it before you can let go of Tails by jumping off of him. But now it actually makes sense, because imagine a jump button like crazy to gain the height necessary to reach that cliff. Imagine if you didn't have to hold down. You'd be letting go of Tails an awful lot just trying to reach that cliff. So now it's an awfully convenient mechanic, but probably not as convenient having the bubble shield, because we totally deleted the Act 2 boss. Or rather, one of them. We're gonna hitch a ride on Eggman's Eggmobile and leave poor Will Tails behind. So you probably would have done me more harm than good. Actually, I'm just kidding. He actually helped me a great deal for a couple of the past bosses we fought before coming to this point. And look at that. The Knucklehead sees a fit to interfere with my plans again, but this time Karma's going to come back to bite him in his tail's butt. You would think by now this is where Eggman's deception would have been made quite plain to Knuckles, seeing that he was clearly intended to take off without him, because this is a dead egg that's just taking off from its launch base, hence the name of his own. And wow. You know, one of the game's biggest strengths here is its ability to convey a story all without the need for dialogue, and cutscenes like this feed further into that fact. It's pretty awesome, man. And look at that! Tails actually flew up here, who would have thought? Oh, wait a minute. Now, I said earlier with one of the Act 2 bosses, this is another of them, and great, my shield is gone. I am so tempted to pop out Supersonic right now, but I believe in the concept of fair play, so I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do instead is get a drop on him, all while being mindful that Spike Bulb is going to be continuously circling Eggman throughout the entirety of that fight. You have to land 9 hits in total, by the way, to actually beat him, and once you do, normally if you're playing this with a lock-on cartridge itself, this is where the Sonic 3 segment would end and you'd go to Mushroom Hill. But we're playing a Sonic 3 a.i.r, which once again yields a complete experience. And that means this final boss, also known as Big Arms, is going to be integrated into the midpoint of Sonic 3. Also, the bane of Supersonic, because even while you're super, if you get grabbed by this guy, you're going to get slammed to the ground and lose all your rings anyway. This has taken a great number of gamers by surprise the very first time they witnessed this. Also comes complete with one of the most epic final boss soundtracks ever to be heard in the Sonic series. Which is why I'm so glad we played this on Sonic 3 a.i.r. I could imagine fighting this boss without that soundtrack, or not fighting this boss at all, actually. I don't know if it's ever cut from the retail version. I really don't. Although, there is the fact that back then, Sega Genesis cartridges had capacity to worry about, capacity limits. And that was part of why they had to split the game into two in the first place, so maybe that was done to ensure that the final version would be able to fit snugly into 2 cartridges, because otherwise they probably would have had to make 3. And you know, that would have been rather fitting, given the name of the game. Also, if you're wondering, you can actually squeeze in an extra hit just as Eggman heads back towards the bottom side of the stage. Like, as he bobs up from going to the bottom side of the screen first, he will be left temporarily vulnerable, and you can spin dash into him before he's back to a state where he cannot be hit again. And I was trying to do that this entire time, but I kept ending up on the wrong side of the fight, and I wasn't able to spin dash into him without getting myself hurt in the process. And for the most part, I wanted to go for a no damage run. But the steps that I just demonstrated beating this boss are just as effective, and because of that, we flipped big arms, and we have finished Launch Base Zone and the Sonic 3 segment of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Which means we have put a dent in Eggman's plans to revitalize the dead egg as it is about to crash land once again. To where exactly? Well, if you played Sonic 3, I think you already have a fair idea of where. But I'm not going to state where specifically. We'll be at that stage though before you know it. For now though, this is a preview of the Mushroom Hill Zone, which will be the next stage in this playthrough for Sonic 3. And unfortunately, this is where I have to end it off, but I will be back soon to continue this series, as this is where things start to get really, really interesting, especially concerning the Chaos Emeralds. Until then, though, I'm gonna let you all go, as that will do it with this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, drop us likes and comments down below. Always happy to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that sub button and ring that bell. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Launch Base Zone, and I will see you all next time. Until then, peace. Blue blurs for life, and take care.